Of course, I'm more than happy to share what I went through, so to say, when I went to Rajesh's place. Apartment number 2301 was the instruction. I rang the bell, walked in, and stepped out within a few seconds because I thought I've been in the wrong place. There was a restaurant there, and I didn't expect that to be there in his house. Candle lit, fantastic ambience, and it's more like fine dining place delivered from somewhere outside the world. The statue of Buddha was enticing, and then of course Sejal greeted us, and it was very comforting to be there. A real difference in terms of what you feel when you step into somebody's house. As I said, it took me away from being in Dubai to somewhere totally out of the world. Rajesh came in, and he was a master at what he does. He cooked some fantastic dishes, and I will remember the 1000-year sauce that he showed me, and he started dipping stuff in there. He grilled a lot of amazing food for us. The Thai curry with bamboo rice, man, that was outstanding. So I'll still want to go back there to taste a few things which he's promised me to make. And I used to run a restaurant for 4 years in my life, and this has really taken me there and almost enticing me to open a restaurant of my own. And guess who my partner would be if he lets me do that? It's going to be Rajesh. Thank you, Rajesh, for letting me in there and showing me that you're as wonderful a cook as you're a human being and a relentless coach. Thank you so much.
Yeah, one of the most fascinating things I found out about Rajesh is what a multifaceted person he is. And when you call somebody multifaceted, you generally think, he kind of dabbles in a few things and, he does whatever he feels like about it. But with Rajesh, it's very different. Each one is very intense and very deep. So I was in his place, and there was this sitar there, and so someone said, so I asked him, do you play the sitar? He said, yes. And someone said, you don't know how he plays it. So he played the sitar, and it was about maybe 2 hours, 1.5, 2 hours, it just went on. And it's very fascinating because the intensity with which he does it and how it all happens is something which is very rare in somebody who is, you're wondering, are you listening, is it a professional musician? He's not a professional musician, but there is an element of that intense professionalism that comes in how he does what he does. And the other thing is about food. He loves his food, number one. And not only that, it's just not, he is so understands the nuances of so many different cuisines, and he's able to conjure up these dishes every time. So anytime you're invited to his house, you're wondering what will it be this time, and you think, oh, maybe it'll be this or it'll be that, and there'll be something else which you hadn't had the previous times you had gone to his place. So that is something which is great fun in terms of what you find when you meet him and when you get to know about him. And even the manner in which he puts together a particular cuisine or a particular set of dishes, how he serves it, how it is served, the ingredients that are used, how he takes the trouble to source those ingredients from wherever they are to be sourced. And there's a no compromise approach to anything and everything. And I think that's what defines Rajesh. If it's done, it is done to a certain standard, a certain manner, or it's not done. And in the manner he demands it of you when you deal with him and when you work with him. So when you take him on board or when you engage with him as a coach, you've got to kind of watch out that you're getting into something where it will not be, there won't be any compromises. So if you're not up to it, you'll be told, and you'll have to push yourself up. So there is and I think that's an inherent quality in him, and he applies it not only to his work but to every facet of what he does. And it is very apparent in any experience that you have when you go to his house, when you go to his office, when you go to whatever he does. I remember the time when I went to his office for the first time, and he had just done it up, and it was fascinating to see how he had done it. So, there's a sense of how can you be in your best environment to do what you can. How can the other person who comes there be in an environment where he is comfortable? those things are not compromised you know, whether it be a startup or whatever it is done in that way. So that's something that I found very interesting about him, how he takes a space and recreates it in a very signature fashion, and which is tailored to meet the requirements of every person that who would live or use that place. You know, so I mean, there was a house that I lived in, which he lived in after that, and I could see this change in the shift that had come to that house and how it had got transformed. So these are little things which I think define Rajesh, and it's fantastic. It's a fascinating thing to know the new things he's doing, be engaged with him, and I'm always curious about that. And after a break of time when you meet him, you sit and have a conversation with him, and you get something else from it which you didn't find before. So it's ever evolving. One person who really takes lifelong learning and lifelong enhancement of oneself very, very seriously, invests significantly of his time and money and resources to do that, which very few people, you know, tend to do or you know, really take the trouble to do. So, and that's what I think keeps him where he is. So these are the fascinating things I find about him.
He's very meticulous about his preparations, about his menu, and about the recipes themselves. So, you know, we feasted on an 8-course Japanese meal, which went on, I think, from maybe 10 to 1 in the night, and then I didn't eat for 3 days because I was so full. But the meal was just absolutely fantastic, and I didn't feel like going to another Japanese restaurant after that because it would have paled in comparison.
It's been very interesting because I started off with the satisfaction of being an artist, of toying with the whole aspect of being a designer, and through the interaction with Rajesh, there was this whole chunking up which happened where I started to look at the business as a whole, focus a lot more on the client, delegate a lot more, give a lot more responsibility to people, and a lot of that has changed. And in fact, simple aspects of the details. I visited Rajesh at home, and I've seen him actually. He's a fantastic chef, and the detail and the passion with which he does the cooking, the way he serves every dish which he selects. There's a big analogy. There's a lot to learn from that when we look at the client. And we speak to Rajesh, and one of the things we take away from even the social gathering is the dedication, the passion. It's purely about the other person's satisfaction, the other person's happiness. He makes it a point to ask you about your taste, what you like. And I think from that there's a lot I could come away inspired when I look at my work, I look at clients, that what do they like, looking at their personality, looking at the small details and the attention to everything else. I think he's inspired me, be it work or even other way from work.
One of Rajesh's deep passions is cooking. And when I say that, I literally mean that a lot of people claim to have cooking as their hobby. But with Rajesh, it's totally something different. He has cooked for celebrities, very famous people all around the world. When my wife and I received an invite from Rajesh, we felt so special and privileged. 3 days before the actual dinner, he sent us an email, the full menu and the experience which we are about to unravel. On the day itself, I was just waiting for that moment, salivating. Stepped into his home and what he and his wife have created. A lot of people don't know this, but where they live used to be our previous home. He has literally transformed the whole place. Unfortunately, I can't speak Japanese. The meal we were served was Japanese, but if I were to put it in Italian, it was bellissimo. Truly ecstatic experience. Very, very special. Not just the food, but everything. We spent 5 hours and we have no idea how the 5 hours just flew by.
I was lucky enough to be invited by Rajesh with the whole family to his house to have dinner one day. And we being vegetarians, we already had our reservations in mind when we walked into his house. But to my surprise, there was such a fantastic Italian vegetarian menu specially cooked for us. Every item was different. It had a different taste. And to top all, at the end of the session, he actually offered us the Flaming Rising Phoenix coffee. And that was one of the best experience I've ever had in my life during any dinners that I've attended.